Brickyard Barbell Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Brickyard Barbell Podcast. My name is Cameron Whiteley, and I'm here with my co-host, Evan Arthur. We have a special guest today, and would you like to introduce him, Evan?
Yeah, today we're going to be talking to Matt Hunter. Today we're going to discuss a little bit of nutrition and how to bulk. We brought Matt on because he is a nutrition guru, and he knows how to get those gains. I know you guys are looking for that. Matt, you want to give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Absolutely. I've kind of been in the game since I was a teenager. Kind of started out with Arnold, obviously, as a child. Who doesn't? And slowly got into the nutrition side. Realized I didn't want to look the same year in, year out. I wanted a difference. And I knew it started out with nutrition. Got my nutritional certification, personal training, strength coach, and 360. That's where I'm at right now.
Cool. So basically today we wanted to talk specifically about a bulking season, kind of an off season. So what tips do you have? Could you kind of lay out a plan for, let's say, somebody who's 200 pounds looking to hopefully by the end of winter here get to maybe 220 and not be overly bloated? You know, they just want to get kind of thick and juicy, but they don't want to be obese. So.
All right. The magic question, how do you go from 200 to 225 in a couple months?
Yep.
It all starts with nutrition. If you don't use nutrition as your main weapon, you won't get anywhere. You can work out as hard as you want. You can take every supplement you want. But until you get your calories above your baseline, you are never going to grow. You can work out as hard as you want. And that all starts out, too. There's a million calculators online. You can go to the If It Fits Your Macro website. You can type in your weight, type in your height, show up your activity, or you can do the formula yourself. I suggest finding one of the calculators online. Right. And once you figure that out, add 500 calories on top of that. They'll recommend 500 calories, go 1,000. And if you need to exercise more, go for it. You know, you're going to need, everybody's different, but you need your protein to be at least 1 gram per pound. End of discussion. There's no way you can get lower than that. You need your carbs to be double your body weight. You need your fats to still be about 1 gram per pound of body. Everybody hates that when I say that. They're like, wait, why so much fat? Why so many carbs? Because your body needs it. Your body's an engine. You don't give it fuel. You don't give it air. All those turbochargers and superchargers and nitric oxide you put on it are going to mean absolutely nothing. And that's where the fats come in. Fats are energy. That's why fats are 9 grams of calories per gram. The joules that fat puts out is insane. Look at it. That's why we burn fat in lamps. The joules that it puts out of energy is double that of any carb or any protein. Your body can use it as pure energy. Carbohydrates, we have to convert them. Proteins, we have to convert them before they're used for energy. In winter, hey, who doesn't want to get bigger for winter? Extra Christmas cookies, you know, you got your family Thanksgiving. But that's also where people lose it. And I was actually talking to a client yesterday, and he goes, everything I've heard is wrong from what you're saying. And I said, absolutely. I was like, you have breakfast, you want your yolks. That's where your nutrients are. Without your nutrients, you're not going to grow. Your body's not going to have what it needs as fuel. Eat those egg yolks in the morning. Maybe instead of having 25 egg whites, try 5 whole eggs. You're going to get the same calories, better nutrition out of it. And the cholesterol is one of those things that you need to play on a personal basis. You know, it depends upon your background on cholesterol, family's history, what your doctor says, things like that. But overall, the cholesterol that comes from eggs has been proven time and time again through medical research. It's not the same. It's not going to give you a heart attack tomorrow because you ate an egg this morning. You do worse things on your daily life.
Sure.
You know, when it comes to snacks too, people always say, oh, well, I like to snack on almonds, or I like to snack on a protein bar or a protein shake. Protein bars, protein shakes, things like seeds and nuts, there's a place for them, but it's not in the bulking. Protein shakes are not whole food. I would rather have 100 calories of whole food than 500 calories in a protein shake. My body doesn't utilize it the same. It can't break down all that protein and use it. It's only going to be using anywhere between 15 and 30 grams of that protein. You know, I see people pounding down hundreds of grams of proteins every single day in protein shakes. They get these big mass gainers, you know, and all a mass gainer is sugar and protein powder, which there's a place for that too. After a workout, you pound a mass gainer. You know, you're fueling your body for what it needs to grow. Personally, right now, I'm sitting at about 245. semi-lean, still see some abs,
Yeah.
but I'm at 7,000 calories a day right now. That is an amount of food that is sickening to eat, borderline.
Yeah.
People don't realize, oh, I'm full, I must be bulking, until you start tracking your calories. And I suggest to Lose It app. It's LOSEIT, and it's free. It's for Android and iPhone. 100% the hands down best nutrition tracker you can get. You can scan food. You can be at a restaurant, speak into it, say, I'm eating the enchilada at Chili's.
Right.
It'll pop it up. You can log it in.
That's a hell of a tool.
It is, and it's free. It's free of charge. They don't even charge anything for it, which I think is amazing. But I tell everyone, use that app, see how much you eat. You will be amazed. If I just eat until I'm full, I'm only eating 4,000 calories a day. Right. And I'm like, why am I losing weight? Why am I down to 240 again? Because I'm not actively tracking what I'm eating. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about people say, well, I don't want to eat before bedtime. I'm going to get fat. It doesn't matter if you eat 1,000 calories right before bed or 3,000. If you're under your calories, you're under your calories. I suggest people eating every 2-3 hours, but at the end of the day, that doesn't always fit everyone's schedule. Right. That's where I get into things like you can utilize beef jerky. You can utilize things like the whole food bars. You can even make your own stuff. You can take oats, eggs, bacon bits if it's your taste, and make little muffins. Put them in a bag. They're shelf stable for at least 5-6 hours. If you're going to work, throw them in your work bag, go to work, put them on your desk. You can eat, And if you're bulking, your boss definitely won't mess with you. Yeah. And, the snacking phase is what really gets people, because they end up snacking on things that are 160 calorie, nut bar or whatever. And I actually ran into that problem the other day at the grocery store. I got off at work. It was almost midnight. I had to, my wife always makes my meals for me when I'm at work at night, and she, got busy. So I had to go foraging like a caveman. Yeah. And so I went out into the world, and I went to Yolks, and I was looking into cooler, just looking for something to microwave even. Just an extra 1,000 calories just to get it in there. And everything's 160 low calorie, or Weight Watchers or something. I mean, even the Hungry Man that used to be, 1,400 calories for a Hungry Man. I do not advocate eating that all the time, but in a pinch, it's better to have dirty calories and no calories. Yeah. And that is the end of a discussion on that one. I don't care if you're under 1,000 calories, you figure it out. So I was like, Hungry Man is my way to go. Yeah. Hungry Man is reduced calories now. And for a bulking world, we've all been fed misinformation. Right. Eat your egg whites, eat your rice, eat your chicken, you're going to get huge and ripped. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. That's not what Arnold did. That's not what any bodybuilder does. That's not what strong men do. Do you see strong men eating, Jenny Craig? Not any that are competing, that's for sure. Power lifters, athletes, football players, runners. Gosh, you want to look at pole vaulters. People, they don't eat reduced calorie diets like you would think they would. They eat their diet that fits them and what they need plus some, because any elite athlete that you look at is going to be focused on nutrition. Even the elite people that we know, Eddie Hall, Brian Shaw, you go into bodybuilding, Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, even when he was at the top of his game, all these people, the top powerlifters too, especially, they're all getting programming from someone else, because you can't do that by yourself and stay sane, and that's why trackers and stuff really help for the average Joe, because you're not trying to get to an elite level. And if you are, hire a coach. There's no shame in it. I have my coach, which is my wife, but if I didn't have her, I'd have to hire somebody from the outside. There's no way I could keep up with it. There's absolutely no way. And that's where we fall short, is you get into your eating habits. Okay, I'm eating my eggs for breakfast. I'm getting my snack. I'm getting my lunch, my midday, my dinner, my before bed, waking up at 1 a.m, eating even. You got all that down, but you're still under your calories. And what I will tell anybody is, if you're at 200, you want to get to 225, you have to start eating like you're already 225. And you will put on a little bit of fat. You're going to put on a little bit of water weight, but what you're going to find is the closer you get to 225, keeping that consistency day in, day out, you will start growing into that 225. The fat will start coming off. The muscle will start replacing it. Absolutely.
And what about, so how many meals a day would you recommend? You said every 2 to 3 hours, but let's say you're somebody with a fast metabolism. I guess they've shown from what I know that the more meals you eat, the faster your metabolism usually speeds up. Would you recommend maybe a lower amount of meals for them, just more food in those meals if you can eat it?
If you can eat it, absolutely.
Yeah.
The problem is getting it all down.
Sure.
I know more than once every single day I'm gagging on something.
Yeah.
You know, you're trying to eat that burger, you get halfway through it, you're like, oh, I'm going to powerhouse this thing. And you're just like, nope, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
And you got to start pacing yourself. Number one thing is when you're hungry, eat.
Yeah.
Don't avoid it. You know, people say, oh, you know, if I'm hungry, that means I'm burning fat too. No, it just means your body is starving for fuel.
Yeah.
That's your car sputtering on the highway saying, I need more gas.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I tell people to eat when you're hungry is because there are going to be many hours in the day that you are going to be busy. And what happens when your mind's busy, you're not hungry.
Yeah.
You know, even this podcast just right here, you know, I'm like still thinking in the back of my mind, I got some food right here. You know, if I start getting hungry, I'm going to start pounding down some food. And it becomes an inconvenience sometimes. It really does. And, you know, I like to tell people the reality of it. Eating all the time can be an inconvenience. It can be a family inconvenience. It can be a job inconvenience. It can just be a plain, I don't feel like doing this today inconvenience. But if you want to gain muscle mass, you want to get mass on your frame, on your body, you need to make those sacrifices. And it needs to start today. You can't say, well, I messed up today, I'll pick up tomorrow. No, you skip a meal, double up on a meal. You know, don't let those calories go to waste. Yeah.
And then what about supplementation? You said you'd rather have food, of course, than a protein shake. But let's say you got your nutrition dialed in. That last 5% is probably supplementation. What supplements would you recommend if you're going to recommend any?
That's exactly, you know what, you really hit the nail on the head with that one. That other 5% that you're lacking out of your nutrition, that is where supplements come in. And I tell people, don't count supplements towards your daily calories either, even if you're on a cut. You know, when you work out, you need sugars. You need a form of a simple sugar, not a complex one, that will digest fast. I say don't count that towards your calories. Protein shakes, when you know, after a workout, you know, I prefer personally the Isopure because it's easily digestible and it's non-dairy. I have a lactose issue sometimes. If you're blessed and you don't have a lactose issue and you can pound down them whey protein shakes, go for the cheaper option. They're really mostly all the same now. There used to be a big difference between the different, the micro-filtered proteins that digested quicker, got into your system. But look for something that has a good amount and a balanced ratio of branched-chain amino acids. I like the 3-2-1 ratio. It's personal preference. You know, if I'm in a bind, I'll grab whatever's on the shelf. Right. Things like creatine that have sugar in them or mixing in your own. Table sugar is not always the best because of how it's processed. But you get dextrose, maltodextrin, you know, Now is an awesome company. They have one that's called Carbogain. It's pure maltodextrin, $12 for an 8-pound tub.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
You can't beat that. You know, and I'm talking about if you're a football player, you're a high school athlete, you're a bodybuilder, powerlifter, strongman, like anything. This is something that I'm saying is across the board. I don't care if you're an office worker. While you're working out, to sip on something with a simple sugar, dextrose, maltodextrin, something. You have branched-chain amino acids in it. You have creatine, glutamine. You know, you have all those things. That's when your body's the most anabolic. Yeah. And I tell people all the time, you know, I do get questions. Well, what about if I take steroids? Isn't that going to help my bulk? Yes and no. Yeah. It's not a magic drug. Now what you just incorporated, you just made it harder on yourself, actually. Now you have to eat more because your body is going to become more efficient. Yes. Yeah. So now you just actually made it harder on yourself. But I always tell people the most anabolic thing is what's already in your body, and that's insulin. Insulin is the most anabolic thing that you could possibly have, and you have it in your body right now. And manipulating the sugars and the amino acids and the creatine and the glutamine to be shuttled into your muscles, because when you have that simple sugar, you're going to spike your insulin. When you're working out and your nervous system is activated, your insulin receptors are basically tingling in your body. They're waiting for insulin to hit to put all that nutrient into the muscle. And what people have a misconception on is that will make you fat. Your body is going to be in such an anabolic state when you're working out to when you're done working out. It's going to absorb all of that. It's not going to go towards fat, you know. And so like with the supplementation of protein shakes and stuff like that, that's when I would implement them. After a workout, before a workout. You know, if you're going for a really heavy day or day where you're doing 100 rep, just annihilation sets.
Yeah.
I would suggest a protein shake beforehand. Don't go eat a steak dinner before you go do one of those. The gym won't thank you.
Right.
There is a place for them. They're just not meal replacements.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing is I wouldn't use them as meal replacements on a regular basis. There are times when even I pound them. I'm on doing something and I'm like, all I have is a protein shake.
Yep.
I am gonna utilize that in my arsenal of bulking agents.
Right.
Yeah.
But you still make sure you get all the rest of your meals in that day. You never replace them, pretty much.
No.
Okay.
No.
Gotcha.
No. Yeah. Though if I do a protein shake, there is no way that I am going to take that and turn it into today can be a bit of a fun day. Maybe I'll just skip out. And it's easy to do that. And that's the hard part. When you drink that protein shake, you're like, I didn't gag on that. I don't feel full. I don't feel like taking a nap right now. And that's something that you really have to get used to.
Yeah.
But if you can get past that first 30 days of your bulking, slowly increase the calories to like even just 500 calories over your baseline.
Yeah.
Do it in increments. Maybe every week increase it by 100 calories. And what your body will do, don't shock your body.
Yep.
Don't shock it. Your body is not one of these gimmicks where you have to change your meals up every day. Your body is the most efficient when you eat like a dog. You eat the same thing at the same time every single day. Your body will be an efficient machine. You look at any of the elite people; they are eating the same thing every day. They have alarms for taking their vitamins at the same time. They take craps at the same time of the day. Like their life is structured. And look at them. How can you say that it doesn't work when the people who are the top in the world are doing that?
Yeah.
And that's, look at anybody. If you're ever in doubt, look at what the pros do. That will tell you what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
And that's being consistent, not changing up your meals. Don't shock the body into, today, I'm eating beef all month. Let's just shock it and throw fish in there. Your body's not going to process it the same. You're going to notice your digestion is off. You're going to notice maybe you're not gaining the same, gaining weight is not a linear chart. It is very much all over the place. 1 week you'll gain 5 pounds, next week you'll lose 2, next week you'll maintain, and that's where you can't get discouraged either.
Yeah.
It will come. It's the big picture. We're not looking at the run from start to finish. We're looking at the beginning and the end. Everything in between it's up to your body, your genetics, your diet, your environment, stress, anything. Absolutely.
And what about, let's say you're starting to get kind of sick, your body's starting to use all its energy to heal itself. Would you recommend still getting in as much food as you possibly can because it's going to take the energy away from getting sick?
It's funny you say that. The last 2 weeks I've pretty much had this head cold thing. You feel bad, you feel hot, I'm running about 2 degrees hotter than I should be. I still come in, I still hit the gym, I still eat. Don't quit. Don't quit. Again, don't let your body get into that stasis because what will happen is your body will expend extra energy on healing. But again, the body does overboard. Obviously, that's when you get sick and your body puts out all these histamines and everything else to heal it and knock out whatever's in there. Eating will help you.
Yeah.
I know it sounds counterproductive, but keeping your body fueled will help you. Keeping your water intake up. You start feeling sick, keep eating, but drink even more water because your body's going to be using more water to digest, to utilize that. And another thing is don't stop supplementation. Branched-chain amino acids and creatine has been proven in medical studies to shorten durations of colds simply because they help your body work more efficiently. They help your body hold water, which when we get sick, what do? We're sweating, where we don't feel good, our body temperature's up. Well, what happens when you heat up a pan and there's water in it? It starts evaporating quicker. Exactly. So you want that extra water weight in you. But don't push it. If you start actually getting sick because you're eating so much, let's use some common sense, tone it down to a manageable level. But then just maybe eat more dense foods. Maybe go for burgers versus chicken breast. That's something where you have to play it by ear. But yeah, absolutely. Don't stop eating. Don't stop your routine. Just tone it back a little bit.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Do you have any final questions?
Yeah, I got a question I want to talk about. We've talked about it before. Now, with a beginner, intermediate, or an expert lifter, they're looking to bulk. Do you recommend them getting a blood test
Absolutely.
before any bulking or any cutting?
Absolutely. And that's if you're natural or if you're an enhanced athlete.
For both.
If you don't get your blood tested ever, if you're one of those people that's like, I don't need a doctor, which I am one of those people who, but one thing that I absolutely advocate is getting blood work done. If you don't have a primary caregiver, you don't have a doctor that will work with you, go online. There's a million places. You can go to My Private MD Labs. They will get you blood tests, whatever you need. You can do cancer screenings. You can do hormone levels. You can do cholesterol. Because what you want to find out is you want to find your baseline, where you're at. Let's say your lipids, even if you're natural, bulking takes an effect on your testosterone, your estrogen, your prolactin, your blood count, your hemocratic. That's a huge one, with enhanced lifters especially. That's something that's a silent killer, is your hemocratic. Your blood starts getting thicker because the compounds you're putting in your body are increasing the amount of blood, but also increasing the viscosity of it, which is great for lifting, more oxygen in your blood. But what happens is, as that coagulates in your bloodstream, it can get so thick that it turns into sludge. And obviously we know what happens then, that's stroke, but you're never going to know that. There are no telltale signs really until it's so bad that it needs to have something done. So when you get blood work when you're a beginning, never worked out, which for my new clients, I often recommend that people who haven't worked out for more than 2 years, go get a blood test, get a general hormone panel, get a general lipids panel, and that'll include your blood counts, your hemocratic, and all that already. And what you're going to see on that is you're also going to see your glucose, your fasted glucose level. That will also help determine if you're pre-diabetic, which will really help with how you bulk. Maybe you only have sugar literally just in the time frame of while you're working out. Maybe it'll change. Maybe I put a little bit of complex carbohydrate mixed in with that so it doesn't digest as quick as to not further on the diabetics. But also, when you bulk, you can also really help as a diabetic. You need all this insulin to process this food, but what happens is when your body starts having the right foods, as much as, because diabetics, there's several different things, whether it be receptors, or just no insulin at all, it can help start repair those, especially when you have supplementation involved. There's a lot of evidence between creatine and insulin sensitivity, and it's not something that you take and all of a sudden you're not diabetic anymore. But it's something to where maybe you can reduce the amount of insulin that you have to use, or eating so often you might reduce the receptor sites, lessen the hardness of them, to where they're a little bit more open, so to speak, like a flower. They're blooming a little bit more, so that they can do what little insulin is in your body is getting utilized to the full extent. And that's also where a intermediate lifter, let's say you've been lifting for a year or two, your diet's pretty okay, that's something where you've been lifting. Let's see where you're at now. Let's say you didn't get your blood work when you were a beginner, but now you're intermediate and you're like, oh man, I've been feeling tired. I've been feeling something. You can see also your white blood cell counts on that. If you see something elevated there, you're going to know, hey, I need to go check this out a little bit. Maybe there's something going on. My body's obviously fighting something. With the intermediate, it's kind of the same thing as a beginner, just different reasoning. Then let's say you go to an advanced lifter. Let's say you want to start using compounds. Blood work is imperative. While you bulk, you're putting so many calories into your body. That stresses the body, especially when you're enhanced. You're putting a load on your body that's like a dump truck filled with lead, which, not to say your body can't handle it. Your body can handle it just fine. It's maintaining the balance. Just like if you're natural or not, there is a balance and you have to find it. Just when you're enhanced, it's a different kind of balance. It's a balance of, now you need to make sure you're actually on top of your health more, I believe, because you're monitoring it more, especially because of things like blood levels, hemocratic levels. You're going to be monitoring and maintaining better health going through that stage. And with bulking, especially with the blood work, you are going to be eating a lot more cholesterol. Like, I know I was looking at my tracker the other day, and I had like 10 times the recommended dose of cholesterol in my breakfast. Just breakfast. Okay, we're not talking about all day. And but yet, you go get your blood work done and you're like, oh, well, my cholesterol is perfectly fine. A lot of compounds affect cholesterol big time. Your lipids can get destroyed, they can get elevated. There's a lot of the andromyosin helps your lipids. But then you get things like and it destroys them to the ground, and that's something you have to monitor very closely. I would recommend, honestly, for a beginner or intermediate, every 6 months, get your blood work done. It's $110 for the baseline
That's
one.
well worth it.
Yeah, it's well worth it. That is your health. Like, why are you bulking? Why are you coming to the gym? You want to be healthier. You want to look better. Well, you're not going to look better if your body inside's destroyed.
Right.
You know, you can have a fancy Mercedes body, but if you have a crappy 350 engine in it that's blown, it's useless. It's useless. And it's not going to last long. And that's where in, the beginning and intermediate, 6 months, $110. You can save pennies a day and get it done. In advanced lifter, or even an intermediate lifter that's wanting to become an advanced lifter, who's getting onto compounds and getting into gear, even if you're not. Once you go advanced, it's a whole nother ballgame, natty or not. And that's where I would recommend every 3 months. More if you can afford it.
Yeah.
If you can afford monthly blood tests, do it.
Definitely.
Without a doubt, some of them you can actually get onto a loyalty program,
Right.
where if you get so many tests per year, you get like free tests.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, and the cool thing is you get it printed out, you get it emailed to you, you get it faxed to you, however you want it, they send it to you. And that's any of the companies that do it. It's private, but it's also a medical document. So like for me, for a client, let's say I'm training a client and they want nutrition and training, I'm going to want to keep that on their file. So I can look back on it and be like, hey, you've been training for 6 months. Look, your lipids are better. Your blood, your fasted blood glucose is actually in a better state now than it was to begin with, and you were already in a good state. And that's also a way too. It's a boost of morale when you're getting blood work done and you're seeing improvements in your health, and you're seeing improvements in the mirror, and you're seeing improvements on the weights that you lift, or if you're a runner, that your distance you're running. That's also where people don't get it, is if you're a runner, you need to watch your blood work as well. There's a lot of things that can go really cattywampus as a runner. And people think, oh no, I'm a runner, I just run. No, you're putting so much stress on your heart being a runner.
Yeah, you're still a machine.
You are still a machine that needs fine tuning. And that's where it is hard as a nutritionist when people approach you, because they say, well, I used to be a runner in high school. I know I have a good metabolism, or I have a good cardiovascular system. And it's like, you don't know until you see.
Exactly.
I got into that argument with my wife so many times. She's like, you need to go to the doctor. And I'm like, just get blood work.
Right.
Just get blood work done. And it is something that, I advocate too. If you see something wrong on your blood work, take it to your doctor. If you don't have a doctor, go find a doctor. Get someone in a medical profession to look at that. And they, again, like I said, I'm not a huge advocate of doctors all the time, because sometimes they just read out of textbooks, and we get into the same problems that we get into the bulking. People are like, well, egg whites, brown rice, and chicken, right? It's like, try it. Try it, and come talk to me in 5 years when you're the same weight, same muscularity.
You look the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
Cool. Is that everything? Any
think
questions
so.
you have?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
So next, coming up here, we have a review of the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding by Arnold Schwarzenegger, the old one. And then after that, just for YouTube only, we have a demonstration on stone loading coming up as well. So if you're just listening to the podcast, go over to YouTube and you can check out that as well. Thanks, guys. All right, now we have segment 2 here, which is going to be a book review of Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. This thing was, I think it was written back in, I want to say it was 85. Yeah, but now there's an update on it that was in 1998, so it still is a little outdated, but we will do a quick review for you here. So it starts out, you have obviously the history of bodybuilding. It, like I said, it only goes to 98, so there's a lot that you're going to be missing there. You're going to miss the whole, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler era. I'm not sure if there's any pictures of them in here that might have been early in their careers, but I don't believe so.
I don't believe so now.
But it does kind of cover a lot of the history of bodybuilding, at least back in the day, which is pretty cool. It has training programs that they used to do, full-on training programs that Arnold used to do. Though I will give you a warning, if you get to the training programs, they are pretty insane, and I wouldn't recommend them for anybody, honestly, anymore. They're just so much volume. You're probably going to see some gains, at least at first, if you do them, like the advanced training program. But before too long, you're going to have to add more volume on top of that to make gains, and it's very unlikely that you'll actually have the time to do that. Just as an example, basically, if you have the advanced training programs in, or if you look at the advanced training program in here, you have Monday, Wednesday, Friday is going to be workout 1, and it includes doing chest, back, legs, calves, and abdominals. all of those for each exercise is 4 or 5 sets, usually some of them 6 sets, which is insane. He actually recommends that you do twice a day, so you train in the morning and then come back at night. Most people don't have time for that.
Definitely not, no.
And then workout 2 is Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, so you're on a 6 days a week, twice a day, 6 days a week.
Yes, you better make some time.
Yeah, doing abs, shoulders, upper arms, forearms, calves, and abdominals again. So, yeah, I don't think anybody has time for that. And like I said, if you're not a serious advanced athlete, there's no reason you should do that. I've done it. I used to do that when I was younger, when I first got this book.
Started there,
years
loved
ago. It was fun, but I don't think I got much gains from it because I was not ready for it. And well, I was in high school and I was young, so I had time, but
Definitely time, yeah.
it also covers a little bit of nutrition. Now, the nutrition again is kind of outdated, but really, I mean, nutrition, the basics of it haven't changed: carbs, proteins, fats, basic stuff like that. So it has just a few examples and ideas for you that you can go ahead and give it a try to. This would be, if I was going to get into bodybuilding or really into training at all, I would start out with this book for sure.
Oh, for sure.
That would be the first book I would read because it's, how many pages is this thing? I mean, it's about 800 pages or so.
It's a ridiculous book.
And it teaches you pretty much everything you need to know and beyond just to get started. If you're going to get into eventually competing on stage, I would definitely recommend moving into some more recent stuff as far as the cutting, doing the water loading, all that stuff, and doing and if you're going to do steroids and stuff like that. I'm not sure if there's information on this. I know in the modern bodybuilding one, the other one that was written more recently, they have a ton of information on it that is more up to date. I would look to that for better information than I would for
I don't think
this.
it talks about it at all about steroids or
Yeah.
any supplementation use.
Yeah, I'm
I believe.
not sure if this one does or not.
Not back then, they didn't talk about it a whole lot.
Yeah. There's a bit on drugs and sports here, but it doesn't look like there's specific information on how to take them safely. Things
Definitely
like
not.
that. Now it does have basically every exercise you can think of, really, from even like old school ones that people don't, like Roman chairs and things like that.
Yep.
People don't really do anymore. That's all in here, so you can see how it's done and see famous bodybuilders do it. It's really well illustrated because you get tons of pictures of classic bodybuilders doing all the exercises that they're talking about. It even has stories of Arnold building up his calves, as that was his weak point, as it is for the rest of us mortals.
Yep.
And
Yeah, I think if you're new into bodybuilding or just lifting weights, it'd be a great book to pick up.
absolutely.
It's just interesting read, and it breaks down tons of workouts for you because I actually understand what you're doing in the gym and how
Yeah.
the movement is supposed to be.
And it's kind of like a no BS. Like it's not the drama and the ridiculous crap that you see in videos now for bodybuilding and all this silly Kim Kardashian style training. It seems like it's basically just gives you the information you need, and you can get to work. You can start using it right away. And I remember when I first got this book, I read it cover to cover. I think I've read it 2 or 3 times now, cover to cover, and it's and I remember it just totally changing my idea about training in general. Like I didn't before that. I didn't have any bodybuilders or anybody I really looked up to or physiques that I looked towards to try to a goal to aim at. But as soon as I got this book, that whole thing changed for sure. Obviously, neither Evan or myself are much into bodybuilding these days, as bodybuilding has changed quite a bit since the days of this book. But it still is great to see the classic physiques and where the sport started, and as well just learn some old school knowledge, some basics that never die. So, all right, I think that's basically our review of this book. We do next time. I think we'll do the modern bodybuilding one, written by Robert Kennedy, who I believe was a writer for was it Flax or Weeder? He was a writer for Weeder. And that's the more modern version. It's about the same size, but it does cover a bunch of great information. Now, if you're listening just on SoundCloud, or if once this gets up onto iTunes, if you're listening on iTunes, go over and head over to YouTube now. You can see our demonstration that will be just for YouTube. It's a video on how to stone load. Okay, thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, guys, we're down here in the power room at 360 Fitness, North Idaho. We're going to give you a little rundown on how to properly do a stone load. For those of you maybe interested in it, kind of intimidated, I want to make sure you got the correct form so you don't hurt yourself. Now, definitely start out with the lightest stone you can, just so you can get the movements down. I want you to stand directly over the stone to where you're going to place maybe your midfoot in the middle of the stone. So you're going to straddle the stone. You're going to bend your hips all the way down, straight arms. Now your hands you want wide. So you want as wide as you can. Really press them out. Put it underneath the stone. And if you have to, rock the stone on your hands. Just like that. Now as you come up, I want your hips and the stone to move at the same time. Set it in your lap. Now this is where you're going to figure out if you're mobile or not. Now if you have really tight hips, you need to loosen up before you do something like this. And we'll get into those episodes later. But now the lowest stone, do not go under. You will damage your bicep. I mean, nobody wants that. Come over the top. Try to make a star or a diamond with your hand over the top. Get as high on your chest as you can. Pull in, bear hug it. And as you come up, triple extend up, and there's your load.